Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a map review of the map scrap station for the Zerg. Here we have, here on scrap station there are only two spawning locations. So as a Zerg player, the first thing you're going to want to do is take your Overlord. I know this is Terran versus Terran, but take your Overlord and quickly go across this gap here and scout out your opponent's base. Obviously, if you're starting at the 3 o'clock location, make sure to go to the 12 o'clock location. What you're trying to do is you're trying to reveal what your opponent's strategy is early on in the game. The reason why you want to do this is because you want to know if you can get an early expansion down. Now, as soon as your Overlord has made it into your opponent's base, you should quickly be able to see whether they have any barracks in their base or gateways in their base. If they do not have a barracks or gateway in their base, they are most likely trying to proxy rush you with barracks or gateway units, probably along this edge over here, or perhaps if they are Protoss or Terran, hiding the gateways and barracks here. If they are doing that, do not go for your fast expansion. Instead, place down a spawning pool and then make your opponent suffer by pushing out that early with very aggressive style of play. What you can do is get a lot of Zerglings, get some spine crawlers, and get queens. Queens are absolutely critical in early base defense, especially as a Zerg player. Now, if your opponent does not try to go for an early harassment rush, what you can then do is opt to go for an expansion down here with a 15 hatchery. And then with that 15 hatchery, you get a very strong economic lead. You will still want anywhere from 4 to 8 Zerglings early in the game, probably around 4 to 6 if you can get away with it, in order to keep track of your opponent and figure out what exactly they're doing. If your opponent does not expand by about the 6 or 7 minute mark, if you don't see an expansion running around with those Zerglings, they are most likely going to be pushing you at about the 8 to 10 minute mark. With that, you should quickly get 2 spine crawlers up very early, and then try to defend both your natural expansion and your main base. Now, the problem with Zerg is, especially on this map, is there is no common choke point and easy way to defend, say on Shattered Temple or say on some of the other maps. If you have a spine crawler here, your opponent may simply run up the ramp here, and vice versa. You can try to put spine crawlers here, but that's only if you had a lot of foresight and got creep tumors early. Creep tumors are very important. What you can also do is you can put Zerglings in this location here, and by putting Zerglings in this location here, you can try to outflank any units. You normally have plenty of time to protect against your opponent if they try to take down these rocks, as during the early portion of the game, these rocks are very durable and can take a lot of damage due to their armor. Now, once you transition away from any early aggression, you really want to try to invest in some Mutalisks. Mutalisks on this map are very powerful due to the amount of open dead space here on the map. You can see that Mutalisks, and generally most Protoss players and Terran players, don't go Phoenixes or Vikings. A Protoss player may go Phoenixes on you, but in general, because of the way Zerg units are trained, you can train more Mutalisks than your opponent can train Phoenixes. And with that, by having a larger number of Mutalisks, your Mutalisks, which move a little bit slower than Phoenixes, if you're able to micro and shoot down that Phoenix, that's going to work out very well for you. Also, make sure to stay away from Stalkers. The mineral patches have a little bit of ground behind them, so Stalkers can position themselves here and here. Also, one photon cannon here with a range of 7 can pretty much protect many of those SCVs, drones, or and probes that you're trying to destroy. So what you're going to have to be careful about is whether or not you have enough Mutalisks to actually take down that one particular defensive structure. Now, Baneling busts are also very popular on this map, especially against Terran, because of the wider ramp choke point. So if you do not want to go for any 2-base play, or you want to go into 2-base Banelings work out really well just because this wider ramp choke point, as soon as Zerglings are able to flood by those Banelings are able to destroy these earlier buildings, you can get in a lot of damage and start hampering your opponent's economy, and then just start flooding in more and more Zerglings. Zerglings deal a lot of damage if they're unaccounted for and are able to swarm. Back on the map as well, if the game does go longer, obviously your 3rd base location should be here, or you may try to make a run and try to take down the high yield mineral location sometime around the 10-minute mark in the game. At the 10-minute mark, your opponent and you may be battling it out, and if you're able to establish this high yield mineral location and get a lot of resources off of it, that economic lead should be able to carry you through into the mid and late game. A couple other things to note: there is a Zelnaga watchtower here. As a Zerg player, you always want to have one Zergling. Zerg is the best at capturing Zelnaga watchtowers because they need the least amount of investment in order to gain the most amount of sight. Back over here, there is another set of expansion down over here, and Zerg also has a great ability with Nidus canals. In order to establish this expansion, what you can do is you can Nidus worm into this location and then transfer a large number of drones into this location and start mining out. Because there are destructible rocks here, you know that your opponent is not going to have an easy time trying to get into your base. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 map review for Zerg here on Scrap Station. Sorry about my Skype.